Starting the video. Third hour is a madhouse. Okay, so here we go. Um, we're live. I'm going to turn around. Pretend we're watching. Okay. Wow. I got to pause and yell. 'Cause I don't want to. I don't want this on the internet. How bad of a person I am. Oh. All right. So here we go. Just real quick. So today, and I tried to make this video yesterday, and it failed. So I don't know what happened with YouTube. So this is probably useless that I'm doing this right now. But trying to show you some things that, remember what I said, if you didn't learn anything and you want to think negatively about Mr. S, about all this experience, especially people that have me 2 years, I apologize. This is the only thing I really want you to take out of this class, if there's anything. Obviously, I want more. But yesterday, investing, and then today, talking about mortgages, which we did yesterday. And by the way, your notes, just to remind yourself, it's open notes tomorrow for the test. The test is tomorrow. It's the same thing I did last year. Bang, 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 then quiz, because it's just a quiz. Because it's easy math, open notes. That's what I'm not making a formula sheet, but you can bring your notes with you. Just because I wanted to talk to you about these things about life, and some of you, like in 5 years, or maybe one individual thinking about buying like a condo or something. So like within a really short time span, this could affect you. So I want to have these discussions. So the other thing that I put down, it's bank rate again. Again, you can Google mortgage, I think, calculator, and then the whole bunch of them that are very effective. This is just the one that I chose. And then 6th hour, then we have an $85,000 house yesterday, right? With two different loans, 15 and 30. And I actually punched them in this, and it was spot on. The monthly payment and how much interest you end up paying in the bank. So look at that. Right down here, I'm going to play with some numbers here. I just picked, I don't know why I have a $165,000 house. I think I remember. But I put 165, 30 years, 4.5% interest. Now let's look down here. These are advertisements. Not that I'm trying to advertise, certain things, but look at. These are the daily advertisements, and that's where the interest rate for a 30-year mortgage is being advertised as. So this is actually topical to what we have right now. When I first bought my house in 2004, it was like, I think I got a 6.5%. So that's a problem. You have no control over that. Like depending on what the conditions of the economy are, the Federal Reserve adjusts the rates from time to time. Historically, it's super low right now. Like I refinanced 3 or 4 years ago at 3%. I had to. It was like too good of a deal, and I changed a 30-year to a 15. And actually, I pay less a month because of the drastic change in the interest rates. So if you have those options, then do that. But let's watch how powerful this is. You have a $165,000 house, 30-year mortgage. Here's your principal and interest. Now, I have an added example today of calculating that again. But then also in reality, there's more to a house, unfortunately. You have real estate taxes, and unfortunately in Lockport, taxes are high. You guys know that? Like compared to the surrounding areas, our taxes are a little bit rough. Not I don't live here. But where I live, it's a little bit high too. And we just had a referendum try to be passed. You know what a referendum is? All right, schools want $90 million, so they want it from the taxpayers, but it has to go to a vote. We voted it down because our taxes are already high enough as it is. Blah, blah, blah. So that's all involved. And also insurance. You have to insure your house by law, just like you're supposed to have your car insured by law. Okay, so 836. Now let's change this to a 15-year mortgage just to get you to understand it's not always possible. I know I said try to get that 15-year mortgage, but when we type that in, this may be outside of our ability to afford. Now we're paying $1,262 a month. That's drastic. All right. In addition to the real estate taxes and insurance, this will bubble way up. So you may not have the option. All right. So, but look at that. Look at what you're paying the bank instead in interest. $62,000 is interest, as opposed to when it was a 30-year mortgage, 135. And this is what you have to think about when you think of a mortgage. It is a payment, but you also have to think of it as an investment when I do the next couple things that are very powerful. Meaning, if I can get the 15-year mortgage, you are paying less out of your pocket to the bank by $70,000. That is your money. That is your money that you are saving. So by me making a 15-year instead of a 30, if it's feasible, you are making $70,000, and that's how you have to think of it. All right, does that make sense in a way? But it's not possible, Mr. S. The bank says I can only afford this, so I have to do the 30-year mortgage. Okay, that's fine. But I'll talk about what you can do next. Now, here's what's called, look at this crazy thing. This is every single payment. This is an amortization table throughout the 30 years. And I actually get a printout of this. It is about 20 pages long. And they give this at the time that you close on your mortgage. This sheet, look at it. It's going on forever. All right. Blah, 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 blah. Let's look up at the top. And this is how it's organized as well. Why what I'm going to show you next is so powerful. The power of exponentially affecting your payments. Look at the very first payment, $836. Only $217 goes to principal, $618 is interest. And then each additional payment, the principal value goes up, the interest value goes down. So this is interest heavy to begin with. And that is unfortunate for you if you want to sell your house in 3 years. You haven't really knocked a lot off of your principal on these payments. This is how all these things are structured. And look at when you're done paying, $2,048. Okay, so I go to this mortgage company. I can't afford the 15. I can only afford the 30 because of the monthly payment. Fine. Then this is the next thing you should think about. You have a little bit more money than $836 a month. I can afford more right away. All right, I just couldn't afford the almost $1,300. Well, then what should you do with that extra money? Should you invest or should you pay down your mortgage? Well, one or the other. But when you invest, remember there's risk. And I told you if somebody says, I guarantee you will make 10% on your money, what should you do? Run. Any guarantee in investing is a lie. No one is allowed by law to guarantee you because investing has risk. Whereas this is zero risk. Watch what I do here. I have extra money. So I'm going to go ahead and just play around with this. And maybe you don't have this much right away, but watch how powerful it is when you start adding extra money to your mortgage. Let's go small. Let's say I could actually afford almost $900 a month. So I could afford to do $70 more a month in my mortgage. So instead of $836, I can afford $906. That makes sense? All right, so I put 70 here, add that to your monthly mortgage payment. Watch what happens to the interest. Boom. Now you pay the bank only $113,000 in interest. That's a reduction of $22,000. That's your money. Just by adding $70 to your mortgage payment, you just saved yourself $22,000. In addition to the fact, watch this down here. What was the date that this was going to end when we were done with our mortgage? 30 years from 2018 is 2048. Look at when it ends now. 2043. Just by a simple $70, which is so minuscule, so little, you have reduced your mortgage by 5 years. All right, so instead of a 30-year mortgage, now it becomes a 25. All right, here's another powerful thing. Say along the line, you have way more money. And then let's look at it this way. I just told you I refinanced. But say 5 years into your loan, the rates are at 7%, which actually I've seen in my lifetime. They've just been abnormally very low for a very extended period of time. Actually, 4.5 is low. But say 5 years they're way up, you can't refinance because you're refinancing at a worse loan. Does that make sense? So you're stuck in this mortgage. Well, instead of refinancing, just start adding more money to your existing loan and watch what happens. Look at that. the interest that you pay the bank, if we started this right off the bat, just to show the power of this, reduces the interest paid to the bank to 86,000 compared to 135. So now we're $50,000 savings. That's your money. Count that as an investment. I invest $200 a month in my mortgage. I'm going to make $50,000 because that's really how you have to look at it. And then one more thing that it does is look at the year that it ends. Instead of 2048, it ends in 2038. So now you just made this a 20-year mortgage by adding $200. And then what happens at those 20 years? You now don't have a house payment. At least you don't have principal and interest. Now you can do something else with that money. All right? So this is extremely powerful. So back to what should I do with my extra money? Should I invest it or should I pay off my mortgage? And I think it's one or the other, but this is a guarantee. $200 makes you $50,000, and there's no two ways about it. There's no risk involved. This is actually what happens. In addition to the fact, it frees your money in 20 years instead of 30. So there are two major components to paying down your mortgage as opposed to maybe investing. Now you want to do both because you do want to exercise some of your money in the stock market and go through the fluctuations. Remember I told you fluctuations are good for people that invest in the long term, all right, because then you buy low. But you balance it and try to do both because of the power. All right, and those changes were exponential. The more you put in early, the more it affects your mortgage. Just $200 extra a month, and you shave 10 years off your mortgage is amazing. And like I said, if you learn anything in this class, when you go to buy a house, having those thoughts in mind, and when you're able to do it, doing it immediately, hopefully is in your head. Okay, so then let's actually do our last examples for the day. And I just want to do some math, and we are having that test tomorrow. Where's he going? What's happening? All right, and these are the notes on the back of yesterday's, okay? Now, I thought this was interesting, whether it's set in stone or not. Home affordability guides. That was wrong. What the heck? What am I in? What am I doing? I'm in the wrong. Oh, my gosh. Okay, here we go. All right, so you have that schedule on your calendar as well if you want to share at home or play around with it. Someone first hour said they were messing around with it, just thinking about things, and that's good. All right. I don't know, something I found interesting in the book, Home Affordability Guidelines. All right. They say, according to the book, and we'll stick with that, if you're going to buy a home, you should first look at 3 times your gross income. That means before taxes. So 3 times 75,000. What's funny about this is right around the price of my home that I bought in 2004. I don't care about sharing that. That's about standard for a 3 or 5 or 3 kid family. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but we needed at least 3 bedrooms. So blah 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 blah. Actually, this is kind of close to too much personal information. Hey, you want to see some of my stocks? I do have some. I just got an email today about an account. And then, I guess that's a no. Maximum monthly housing expenses. Max monthly housing expenses. All right. 0.25 times 1/12 times your annual gross income. I need my cheat sheet so we don't have to see us calculate, and this is an easy calculation. I gotta press pause. Good girl. All right. 15. What's matter? Is that bad? 1.5. Well, I was just saying she was good. That's the problem. All right. Now, you guys are weird. Okay. Now, here's what's weird, besides me, I guess, is my payment was actually more than that. You know what I'm saying? So my interest rate, did I tell you, was like 6.5%. So it was a higher, but back in the day, 6.5 seemed okay because it was higher years before that. Like I say, right now is a weird time of low interest rates. 3 years ago, it was 3%. So amazing. So actually, this is lower than what my payment was on the $225,000 house. So these don't quite coincide. So that's what you put these two together and try to work out what is the house that you should look to actually do. So it really depends on the interest rate. All right, and then here's the reality of it. We'll get this done fast, blabbering. So many banks and other lenders often require that extra funds be collected for property taxes and insurance. By the way, a mortgage, you have to have proof of insurance before the mortgage will give you, or the bank will give you the mortgage to buy your house. So you have to, by law, have insurance on your house. And property taxes. I'll tell you who gets your house first if you stop making your payments: the government. The government will take it first, and then if you have paid your taxes but don't pay your mortgage, then the mortgage company or the bank can take your house for not making payments. That's called a foreclosure. All right, but if you don't pay your property taxes, the government's taking your house. They have no feelings about you whatsoever. They will take it. All right, so this is what the mortgages do. They create what's called an escrow account. Now, your tax bill, I think, is due at the end of a year, or it might be every half year you have to pay your tax bill. And it's a big fee. Like for Lockport, if you had a $200,000 house, your taxes are probably $6,000. That's probably a good ballpark figure, maybe five. And that's a big shock at the end of the year. So what a mortgage company does is collects monthly escrow to build that up, and then your mortgage company sends the check out to the government to pay those taxes. So that is what's really built in your loan. So this has been a lie. That calculator that I showed you up there just had principal and interest. But then you also have real estate taxes and insurance on your house. So this is what they send out earlier in the year. They send out a calculated estimated value of your house, the government does, and they show you your tax rate. Honestly, I think this is what's high in Lockport. It's probably higher than 2.5%. Where I live is a little bit high, I think. That's why we just failed a referendum to build new schools. The government wanted $90 million from the people that live in our town. We voted it down because we feel like our taxes are too high already. So, for taxes, this is what this house owes: 2.5% of $150,000. I will be honest, this is usually a little bit lower than what your appraised value is. Because can you imagine a government saying your assessed value is higher than what you bought your house for? Yeah! All right, right? So usually they're a little bit lower so they don't tick off people as far as what they're paying the government. And that number is $3,750, I believe. And then what is the company that the bank do? They say, you know what? Add this to your mortgage payment. We'll collect these monthly, and then we'll pay that bill at the end of the year for you. So this is built in your mortgage payment. All right? And I'll tell you what happens on that shortly. Then they do the same thing for insurance companies. So our insurance costs $650 per year. That's about right. It's right around, I think we're right around that for our house. Divided by 12, that's another $54.17. Now please pay attention, because I had somebody say, where'd you get this number when I do this at the end? This is what you pay the bank. Then the bank collects this and collects this through 12 months and then pays those bills for you. They're very nice to do that. They're making enough money off of you, so they should be that nice. All right, now your loan amount. This could be, why is this so low? Maybe you put money down when you bought the house. Who knows? But that's all that you have left on it. So $115. And then this is when you want to check on your calculator again. If you have the fraction button, use it. All right, so check this right now. You can actually type this exactly as it looks. Start your one fraction first, and then up in the numerator, add another fraction, and so on and so on and so forth. Only need these parentheses then if you have the fraction button, so on and so on and so forth. You definitely have to do caret, which will put this up here. So those with the fraction button, as long as this is up in the exponent, then you're fine. You don't need any other buttons. You don't really need it. You just need a times. You could use parentheses. It's the same. The caret makes it an exponent. Okay, hold on. Hold on. All right, and then parentheses, you need these. 1 plus 0.06 over 12 raised to the 12 times 30 again, minus a big fat 1, and then you don't need parentheses because you have this separated as numerator, denominator, and that's how you typed on your calculator. Now, for those that don't have this, yesterday's notes, I showed you the long way. And I already caught someone last hour. They have no choice but to do the long way, not using, this is again, if you don't have the fraction buttons, not separating the numerator and denominator with these. And actually, you could use that now and it doesn't hurt anything, but you don't need them when you have the fraction button. You definitely need them when you have to do this the long way. So that's that. It's your job to figure out how to get these answers. All right, so this is 689.48. And then add all these together, and then that's what I actually get as a mortgage coupon book. And the coupons are what if I paid by hand with a check, you send a coupon with it, and on that coupon is all of these numbers. They break down your taxes, they break down your insurance, they break down what this is called P&I, principal and interest payment. And then there's a little box for you to add additional money if you wanted. And then that's where what I was talking about in the beginning, what you would do if you wanted to do that, if you paid by hand. You can pay electronically as well, but so on and so forth. Did anyone calculate that number? I think it was like 1,000 something. And what? So it is a pricey thing to own a house. Yes, it is. Um, that is the monthly payment getting that is what you would pay the all together. So everything I was showing you before only had principal and interest. Yesterday was only principal and interest. It didn't incorporate taxes and insurance. This is the reality, okay, of what you would actually pay them, and that's the cost of living in a house. That's just to pay the house. Then of course got to pay electricity, all the other stuff, blah 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 blah.